Have you seen the Lumen Metabolism Tracker? It's a device that claims to measure your metabolic flexibility, or how well you can switch between burning fat and burning carbohydrates for energy. But does it actually work, and is it accurate? Tune in, because today I am reviewing everything you need to know about the Lumen Metabolism Tracker. Hey everybody, Erin here with Healthy Mom Happy Family, and I get asked a lot of questions about metabolism and specifically about the Lumen Metabolism Tracker. So I wanted to test it out on my own and give you a really unbiased review of my own experience as well as the science behind the tracker to show you if it actually works and if it's worthwhile to try out yourself. Now before we dive in, I just want to remind you, if you are looking for tips and tricks on managing type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance as well as easy recipes, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. All right, so let's dive in. So first, let's talk about what the Lumen Metabolism Tracker is. So Lumen states that it's the world's first handheld device that measures metabolism by measuring the carbon dioxide levels in your breath to see if your body is using fat or carbs for fuel. Now, what I want to note here is that this measurement that Lumen offers differs from indirect calorimetry, which is basically the measurement of carbon dioxide produced and oxygen consumed while breathing. So there are handheld devices like the MedGem that test that, and I actually use them in my own office setting to measure resting metabolism rate. But this is a little bit different what Lumen does, because Lumen is not using indirect calorimetry to tell you your resting metabolic rate. What it does instead is it's telling you if you're burning fat or carbohydrates so that you can make changes to your diet and to your lifestyle to really maximize your ability to burn fat. So Lumen, how it differs slightly is it's using that carbon dioxide sensor and a flow meter to really determine the carbon dioxide concentration. And that's what's going to indicate the type of fuel that your body is using to produce energy. So what the goal of Lumen is and how it markets itself is to really help you to determine what is best for you as an individual to eat and what times a day is best for you to eat it in order to optimize your results when it comes to improving body composition. Now, when we think about this technology that Lumen is marketing and promoting, I want you to understand that it really has been scientifically checked and it has been proven to be accurate. So what they are testing is metabolic fuel usage, and they're comparing it to this gold standard for measuring metabolism. Now this has been checked in validation studies and it is accurate. So Lumen does work. It just works different than telling you how many calories you're burning during the day. It's telling you instead what you are burning for fuel. So the way that you use the Lumen Metabolism Tracker is you breathe into the device, and the device is really checking your metabolic state. So when you're blowing into the device, it's measuring the gases in your breath. It's measuring carbon dioxide. And the amount of carbon dioxide in your breath is basically an indicator of whether your body is burning fat or burning carbohydrates for fuel. So that is why you're breathing into Lumen for multiple times throughout the day to really understand during different points of the day what you're using for fuel. Now, if you're wondering why it matters what you're using for fuel, so basically when you're burning fat for energy, your body is going to produce more carbon dioxide than when you're burning carbohydrates. And that's because fat metabolism is actually more effective than carbohydrate metabolism. And so when you are burning more fat during metabolism, you're going to have an easier time losing and maintaining your weight. And so this is why Lumen really focuses on helping you understand when you're burning fat versus carbohydrate so that you can aim to burn more fat during the day. The way it works is you breathe into the machine, it tracks through an app, and then there is a color-coded scale and a 1 to 5 scale, which indicates the type of fuel that your body is burning for energy. Okay, so if you're wondering how to use Lumen, the device to Lumen is pretty simple. It's a little handheld device and you just plug it in, charge it, and you get an app that goes along with the device. So the Lumen app is going to pair with your metabolism tracker. And this is important because you have to use the app when you're blowing into Lumen, otherwise you're not going to actually get the data that you need. So when you get your Lumen device, there will be instructions on how to calibrate it with your app, but you want both things working. You want your Lumen charged, you want your app working, you want them to be talking to each other in order to get the device to work. Now, when you use Lumen, you're really just breathing into it. So you have to hold your breath for 10 seconds and then you exhale, a pretty strong exhale into the device. And then the app will show you the information on the screen. Now, there is a learning curve to this, and I just want to point this out because I found it a little frustrating getting started. I am not somebody who's short of breath, or I don't think I have an impaired lung capacity, but I had a little bit of a hard time breathing hard enough to get the device to measure my reading. So it was definitely trial and error. I would either do it too hard or not enough, and it was hard to get the app to really sync with me. Once I figured it out, it was very easy to use, but you do have to understand that the first few measurements might take a little longer than you expect, might be a little frustrating. It's worth it. You do get good information once you figure it out, but just don't expect that right out of the box you're gonna be able to use it right away without any trial and error. That might happen, but from my experience, I did have to work with it and really try to understand how to breathe into it correctly before I got an accurate measurement. Now, once you use your Lumen, you blow into the device and you see the results on the app, you're gonna get a numbered score. So a score of 1 indicates that you're in a fat burning state, 5 is that you're burning carbohydrate. So the goal from what Lumen states is that if you're actively trying to burn fat and lose weight and improve your body composition, you wanna be closer to the 1s and 2s than the 4s and 5s. So the goal of the metabolism tracker is really to help you either maintain body weight or improve body composition by adjusting your diet and your exercise habits to match your metabolic state. So when you're in this state of fat burning more often throughout the day, you're more efficient at burning calories, and that makes it easier to reduce body fat and maintain a healthy body composition. So the goal with Lumen is to really help you identify what's working for you and what isn't, so you can make the appropriate changes for you as an individual. And it's also helping to boost your metabolic flexibility. And having metabolic flexibility is an indication of improved health. So when you think about what metabolic flexibility is, it's really your body's ability to switch between using carbs for fuel and fat for fuel throughout the day. And so the more efficient your body is at this switch, the better it's going to be for your body to maintain a healthy body composition and perhaps even improve your blood sugar regulation. When you look at the research on metabolic flexibility, they've found in studies that the more metabolic flexibility you have, the easier it is to lose and maintain weight as well as gain muscle mass. And that metabolic flexibility can even improve glucose regulation throughout the day and reduce your risk of developing metabolic syndrome, which we know metabolic syndrome is a precursor to type 2 diabetes. And metabolic syndrome is basically underlying insulin resistance. So the better we are at making our metabolism more flexible, the lower our risk of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. All right, so let's talk about the benefits of Lumen versus other forms of metabolism testing. Because in my office as a dietitian, I offer the MedGem. I do indirect calorimetry to tell people their resting metabolic rate. That is a different measurement and is still very valid and beneficial. Resting metabolism is how many calories you're burning throughout the day at rest, and then all of your movement on top of that. So that's one piece of the puzzle when it comes to optimal health as well as weight management. What Lumen offers is different. It's not going to tell you how many calories you're burning during the day. What it's doing is it's measuring your respiratory exchange ratio, or RER, and that's going to help you to understand your metabolic fuel usage. So what Lumen is really doing is showing you based on how active you are, based on your food choices, even your sleep patterns, your stress level, you're going to understand, are you burning fat or are you burning carbohydrate throughout the day? That's why Lumen is something you would use throughout the day multiple times per day, versus indirect calorimetry you would use once, maybe once a year. Your resting metabolism is not going to change that much. Now, knowing both of those numbers together can be really effective when it comes to improving body composition and health. if you know how many calories you're actually burning during the day and what you want to stay in, then Lumen is a really great tool to help you to understand where those calories should be coming from, the timing of those calories, and the timing of them in combination with your physical activity during the day. So both measurements are valid, both are beneficial. Together, they're going to be the most effective, but each on their own still offers health benefits. But that's where when Lumen is saying it's the first handheld device to do this, that's because it's not measuring your actual calories during the day, it's measuring how you are fueling your body during the day, and that's what makes it unique. All right, so if you're thinking about Lumen and you're wondering, who's it appropriate for, who isn't it appropriate for, it's really designed for people that are trying to maintain a healthy body weight or improve their metabolic health and their energy levels. Now, it is not recommended for people under the age of 16. It has not been studied or recommended in people that are pregnant or breastfeeding because that's going to have a direct impact on metabolic flexibility and what you're burning for energy. So those populations, it would not be appropriate for. It doesn't list this on the Lumen website, but I would also say it is not appropriate for somebody who is undergoing a acute health issue. If you are sick, if your body is actively healing, whether it's an injury or whether it's an illness, your body is going to fuel slightly differently. That's going to impact metabolism, and most likely you wouldn't get accurate results. That's my opinion as a dietitian. It's not on their website, but that is where I would say if you're using Lumen during a consistent basis, but then there's a period of time where you're sick, you might notice changes in the information you're getting. Now, Lumen is pretty new to the market. It has been out for a little bit of time, but it's short-lived. So when we look at a device like this, you want to know, is it actually accurate? So there have been peer-reviewed research on handheld devices like Lumen and the changes in metabolic fuel utilization, and they compare them to the gold standard, really, which is the standard metabolic cart in a lab setting or in a clinical setting. And Lumen has been found to be accurate as far as real-time metabolic data for users in the comfort of their home. Now, as I mentioned with Lumen, there is a bit of a learning curve, and it's going to be accurate if you're using it correctly. If you're not using it at the correct times, if you're not blowing into it correctly, that's where you might not get the most accurate data. But the research on when it's being used correctly in a clinical setting is comparative to other forms of metabolic flexibility testing. So it is accurate. Now, if you're looking to use Lumen, they really only sell it exclusively through their website. So if you want to get Lumen, you can go right through their website. I'll link to it below if you want to try this out. They were kind enough to me to give a coupon code to you if you wanted to save $50 off Lumen. Just use code Erin, and I'll link to that below too, so you have that information. What I would say with Lumen is I think it is a really great tool. Is it worth the investment is going to depend on if you're planning to use it and really interpret the information. So Lumen is not a one and done type of measurement. Something like using the MedGem in my clinical setting, I can check your resting metabolic rate and it's not going to change anytime soon. You're done with that measurement and maybe we repeat it once a year. Lumen, you're going to be checking throughout the day, multiple times a day, ongoing. So as long as you are going to be consistent with it, it's going to give you great health data and can be very beneficial. But we all know ourselves. Some people are really consistent with things like that. Some people aren't. If you're not going to be consistent, you're only going to measure once here and there, it's probably not going to work as well for you as somebody who's consistently using it. I also mentioned there's a bit of a learning curve to it. So it's not hard, it really isn't, but you just have to get through that initial day of testing it and maybe a little bit frustrated trying to breathe in the correct way to make it work for you. The other thing I would note too is if you're somebody who struggles with getting a good breath, breathing easily, maybe you have asthma or COPD or anywhere where it's hard to breathe into a machine, just take that into mind. It might not work as well for you. It doesn't mean it won't work, and it will, but getting that accurate breath into Lumen multiple times a day may not always be possible for you. So that's something to consider and talk with your physician about if this would, be appropriate for you too. All right, so let's look at the pros and cons of Lumen. So the pros, to me, it does give really unique insights to optimizing metabolism and metabolic flexibility. It's pretty discreet, it's small, you can carry it with you. It's very quick to use once you get the hang of it. The app is really easy to use and the data is pulled right into it. It's very easy to understand. You have a number 1 to 5. And then you get those real-time results, so you can quickly adjust based on what you're finding from your lumen to understand what you should be eating or how you should be exercising the rest of the day. So it is really accurate, and if your goal is metabolic flexibility, weight management, this can be a really beneficial tool. Now, there are some cons too. So, this lumen itself is significantly more cost effective than having your metabolism checked in a clinical setting repeatedly. However, it still has a cost to it, so you have to make sure it fits within your budget, because you have the cost of using Lumen and purchasing the device, but then using the app ongoing, there is a subscription fee to that too. So that's something you want to consider. You also have to think about the consistency in using Lumen. You need to carry it with you throughout the day, use it multiple times a day, so you have to be honest with yourself if you're going to stick with that. If you do, it's worthwhile. And then, as I mentioned before, you have to have that strong breath in order to get the right data into the app. And so if you struggle with that, it might not be the right tool for you. So those are things to consider when you're considering, is Lumen right for you or not? I found it really helpful. I found it really interesting. I mean, this is what I do for a living, so I always find this information incredibly interesting. But I do love that it offers a unique insight outside of just the resting metabolism. We have both of these data points together can really be helpful when we understand our unique needs as an individual. So it's a great device out there, but just remember, it's not a magic bullet. You're getting information. What you do with that information is up to you. So the device itself is not going to improve your body composition. It's not going to make you lose weight. You have to take that data and then interpret that data and put it into action. So if you're ready to do that, you can be consistent with it. You can interpret the data, put it into action. I think it's fantastic. But if you're not quite there yet, or you don't think you'll be consistent with it, then it might not be the right device for you. So overall, I think it's scientifically accurate. I think it's a great tool. It's convenient. It gives us really great, unique insight into our metabolic flexibility. As a health professional, I really enjoyed using it. I like the data I'm getting. It's not going to be the right thing for everyone, but I'm so excited that it's on the market and it is available for home use. And I think it's a really great option for anybody who wants to improve their metabolic flexibility and who is maybe struggling with improving body composition and body weight and can't figure out why. This can give you some really great insights into what is and isn't working for you. So if you want more information on Lumen, I'm going to link below. I did a full review on my blog too, all written up, so you can read through it more in depth there as well. I'll also link directly to Lumen if you want to go to the website, check it out. If you use the coupon code Erin, you can save $50 off if you are interested in purchasing. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And also, if you've used Lumen, I'd love to hear from you and hear your experience with it below. And if you found this review helpful, I would love for you to take a minute to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss any new videos. I'm always providing tips and tricks on managing insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, as well as quick and easy recipes. Thanks for joining me.